Ding, ding, ding. Hear ye, hear ye. It is another day with Hanging with Langan. How are you folks today? How's everyone doing? I'm going to introduce in just a moment my fantastic guest, Rhonda Hansome. What a wonderful, wonderful woman, but you'll get to meet her firsthand. I'm grateful you guys are here every day. I want you to go to streamyard.com/Facebook. That's how I will get your comments right here live. And you know we love hearing from you. Of course, I can see you on Facebook. Go to Hanging with Langan. That's my group page. Or you can follow me on the timeline. But the group, it's just facebook.com/groups/Hanging with Langan. And when you're there, if you're watching this right now, I would love for you to start a watch party. That's what all the tech people say is important. If you start the watch party, more people see it. It gains more traction. More people get to meet my wonderful guests that I bring you Monday through Friday here on Hanging with Langan. In fact, on Friday, I have a friend that I've performed with in South Africa and Switzerland. He is Russian, and I was with him the first time he ever did a set in English. So he's going to be joining me from Russia. From St. Petersburg on Friday. Is that insane? Igor Mirsin. So I bring you really cool people because I'm all about love. And you know, I'm just letting you know, I tell you this, I feel like I should have a one-eyed dog and a tin can on a street corner. But support the show. I keep this coming for you. PayPal.me/Mo Langan or Venmo @Mo Langan. Chuck a buck or 8,000, whatever you have, because I know there's a lot of rich people in Silicon Valley. And go to my molangan.com store. What can you get there? What are you talking about? What can you get there? You can get a mask. You know you can. Don't make me hate you mask, because you don't want to hate people. They make you hate them. You're a victim. Get t-shirts, all kinds of t-shirts, men's, women's, kids. We even have onesies. What more you get? Onesies, baby onesies, all kinds of shirts, the mask, clocks. There's so much good stuff. So go to my store. Just go to molangan.com store. And I've been hosting, and if you have a corporation or a business, I've been hosting a lot of corporate video meetings, groups, events, because love you tech people. And I mean, you corporate people, but you don't know how to keep a meeting flowing, and Langan does. All right. So if you're watching this, I need you to please go and start a watch party or share, because my next guest deserves nothing less. I've had the pleasure of watching her perform. I just love watching her take a stage. And I've had the pleasure of being on John Fugelsang's radio show with her in New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, Rhonda Hansome. How are you, Rhonda?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Well, I saw you post, we're going to be talking about fashion, food, and fascism. So why not on Rhonda's mind?
I thought it was just a little alliteration, you know, just to pique folks' appetite for your show.
Well, you know, I watched you on stage on Carol Montgomery's shows. And
we did that at Stand Up New York together, actually.
Stand Up New York, women of a certain age. And I know you, and I've seen you before in the past, but it was just nice to really watch you up close that night in the same room. And what I like about you is there's such a likability on stage. There's such a brilliance. And, you know, sitting next to you at John Fugelsang's radio show, you said things that, wow, really stayed with me, So
I love that. I love John Fugelsang's show. That's every Monday night now. It used to be in the daytime, but it's a wonderful, different opportunity to express myself.
And you see it. Well, that's what I like. You're very smart, very funny, very likable. You have all those sides. So tell me about Rhonda. Where did you grow up? How did you get into comedy? I need to know more about Rhonda.
Rhonda. I actually grew up in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Oh.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. And I went to Catholic school from kindergarten, actually.
Oh.
Yes, I was the only Black child in my kindergarten.
In Catholic school in Brooklyn?
Yes, St. Ignatius Kindergarten. And I went on to Nativity of Our Blessed Lord, and then on to Bishop McDonald Memorial High School, where I think I had enough indoctrination in religion.
Is that so? I mean, that's a lot of Catholic school. I rebelled.
That's a lot of Catholic school.
You had to have had, I mean, people, more than white people in your Catholic schools, or was it just kindergarten?
Well, in kindergarten, I was the only Black child. And at Nativity, each year there were more Black students, but we were always the minority. And in high school, I remember I tried out for the drama club, and they already had one Black girl in there, and so there was no way I was getting in.
True.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's a very interesting way of life, Maureen, and what's going on now in our society. It seems like a lot of people are just getting a hint or a little taste of what it's like to be in a condition constantly where you don't feel like it's a welcoming environment. It may not always be hostile, but you never quite feel like you're in a welcoming environment. In your own country, in your own state, in your own home, in your own neighborhood, you know, it's
on because, and it wasn't a purpose. It was purposeful to have you on because I find you fascinating and I wanted you to be on the show. And I reached out to you a while ago about that. Today's the memorial service.
Yes, I was just watching some of that. Yes, yeah.
I had to pull over. I was coming back after ordering my cappuccino on the .com because you don't go out much, and I went to pick it up. It's so crazy. And I had to pull over on the road because his niece was speaking, and she was a powerful young woman, very emotional. Beautiful services, I mean, these memorials, not like the Catholic Church. You grew up in the Catholic Church, vastly different.
Well, this is the thing. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, and there were Pentecostal Baptists, fundamentalist churches on every corner, and these people got down with drums and guitars. I call up Jesus on a telephone that ain't got no cord, And then I would go to my school where I actually spoke Latin, which is a dead language. My father plays dominoes better than your father does.
So when did you get into comedy, Rhonda?
I got into comedy, and it's interesting that you asked me. I saw Alice Arthur on a cable show. Doing stand-up many years ago. And why it's interesting is that the digital premiere of a documentary about Black women comics, which includes Alice Arthur, which was my impetus, but also me and Marsha Warfield. We're in that, and it's tomorrow at 7:00 at Spectacle Theater. The name of the documentary is called I Be Done Been Was Is. and I saw Alice Arthur doing stand-up, and I have been feeling very frustrated as an actress. And I saw her and I said, oh, she doesn't need anybody to cast her or a script. She's just doing her own thing. And I felt like I want to try that. And I went to Canada, went to my first comedy club, and I saw all of these guys doing, Star Trek jokes and
Star Trek.
Yeah, and they're getting laughs. And I'm going, this isn't so hard. I could do this. And I started, and I was really, really delighted when.
But you went to Canada to start, or you would just happen to be in Canada when you watched and got?
No, I watched and I said, I can do this. All these guys are talking about are Star Trek.
I can talk about pointy ears and wackos and weird, hey, Bobby Collins gives you a shout out, Rhonda. Hi, Bobby.
I love Bobby Collins. I absolutely love him. I haven't worked with him in a long time. And he was around when I was coming up and was passed at Catch a Rising Star, the original Catch a Rising Star and the original Improv. And I tell you, it was a very exciting time. Bobby Collins was there, Robin Williams,
wow.
Rock, David Brenner was always coming in. I mean, it was star-studded. It was absolutely star-studded. And Adrian Tolsch passed me at yes, at Catch a Rising Star, and of course Silver. Silver passed me finally at the Improv in New York City.
And for those of you who are watching, you know, there's a lot of people who are in comics, not in the comedy world, so they like to be a fly on the wall and watch this. Rhonda's referencing just really a golden time of New York City stand-up. I mean, that was before I started, but everybody knows these players. Everybody knows, you know, loves to work. Well, Bobby is great. I mean, everybody loves working with Bobby. David Brenner, I interviewed him years ago. I always loved his bit. It's just like being on a bus or subway and he's sitting on the newspaper and somebody says, "Are you reading that?" And he gets up and turns the page and sits there. Yeah. It's so funny. But, you know, Rhonda, you're very award-winning. You have been on hit shows like Louie and Caroline's Comedy Hour, Arsenio, Evening at the Improv, Showtime at the Apollo. I'm always fascinated by that. Do tell about that experience.
That was one of the weirdest experiences I had ever had because, you know, I'm wearing sequins for you today, Maureen. I don't know if you can see that.
It's like titillating. Oh, there, it's more titillating now. Okay.
Yes, yes. I was, at the time, this is in the 80s. This is in the early 80s. I was one of the few women who always dressed up. And, you know, I'd have on high heels and black fishnet stockings and sequins. And I was at Showtime at the Apollo, and I had been there all day. You know how for a TV show you have to get there early and all of this. And there were a lot of singing groups that had all of these background singers who were getting their makeup done. And every time I thought, you know, someone should be prepping me for my spot, it got pushed back. And then all of a sudden I hear on the loudspeaker to go to the wings to go on. And, you know, I hadn't been prepped, and Al B. Sure was the host. I don't know if any of your viewers ever watched that. And he doesn't tell the people that I'm a comedian. So I come out all sequined out and flashy and with my weed whacker hair.
Shimmy. I see the shimmy.
And they expect me to sing. And I have to spend the first minute of a 4.5 minute set telling them I'm not going to sing and trying to get them just to listen to me say my jokes. And it was really very challenging, but I was so glad to do it because it's a historic venue. It's a historic venue.
Every time I go by there, I'm like, oh, it just brings up so much history and so many great things. So were they nice to you, or was it like?
It was a little hectic backstage. I mean, because the music acts were the big thing, actually. The music acts had a lot of background singers and, you know, all the musicians. But you know, Maureen, we comics are self-contained. You know, I did, you know, work with Gary Marshall when he was doing television shows. When I was coming along at Catch a Rising Star and at the Improv, people may not know this, but almost every night there were television producers in the clubs, and I would be doing would be chosen to do somebody's talk show because we were self-contained. You know, everybody, Pat Sajak had a talk show. You know, everybody who had a talk show, they would have comics come on because, you know, there was no preparation. We just had to have our TV set, our 5 minutes and go.
So what did you do with Gary Marshall? I'm a huge fan.
Well, I did Pretty Woman. I was in the movie Pretty Woman. I played Bermuda, and that was the first night of shooting, the absolute first night of shooting. And Julia Roberts had just done Mystic Pizza, and I'm getting, again with the makeup, I'm getting my makeup done. And I turn to the woman next to me and I go, "Do you know your lines for this scene?" Because Gary Marshall does a lot of improv, you know.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, I know my my lines. And it turned out it was Julia Roberts that I was talking to.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That is such a great, but was it a great experience for you?
It was fabulous. It was the first night of shooting, and I had on this very short hooker outfit, very similar to what I'm wearing now. And I learned so much because, like I said, it was improv, which I have a background in improv, actually. I was with the First Amendment Improv Company, which was a great experience. And it's always exciting to work with a director who has chosen you, who trusts you. And I played hooker, Bermuda, and I'm so glad to have been in that.
What a great experience. The only film movie I ever booked, okay, it cracks me up. It was called Marcy X, and it was with Damon Wayans and Lisa Kudrow. It went like, I think it was in the, as my father calls it, the movie house. I think it was in the movie house.
The movie house, oh.
Minutes. But just for shits and giggles, my best friend, he came with me, and I put on a big sun hat. He goes, what are you doing? I go, I can't be recognized. I had like a 3-second clip in it. You know what I mean? I had more fun pretending that it was a big deal than it was. But I remember I had to audition as a reporter, which is what I was for 800 years, for Richard Benjamin, the director.
Oh, wow.
So if you're auditioning for, if you're auditioning to be an on-the-street reporter, of course you come with a microphone, right? I mean, isn't that what you do? So I bring my microphone, and a woman going in ahead of me goes, oh my God, that's such a brilliant idea. Can I use it? I'm like, and I'm like, so like the oldest girl of 6, I'm just like, yeah, whatever you need, take it, right? I'm like, no. Like I thought, you know what I mean? That was so hard for me to say no to this gal because you want to share. But on the other hand, she can't go in there like that was her freaking idea. I came prepared. You didn't.
Look out for your #1 player.
But if she were going on after me, I would have shared it with her. You understand? If we were all comics going on stage doing stand-up, whatever you need. But this was different. So anyway, I booked it. And with Christine Baranski, I was going to have a scene. I did have a scene opposite her. And I'm like,
I like her.
Oh God. I'm like, well, where do I go? Like when I get the booking, my agent was like, okay, where's it going to be? I can't wait to fly first class somewhere really nice. It's going to be on 52nd Street. I live on 54th. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So as I'm walking in my overalls at the call time, there's Baranski on the street. And she sees me and she goes, oh, would you run lines with me? And I go, oh, sure. She's running her lines. Then later, before the scene, she goes, oh, you're in the scene with me? I thought you were one of the production assistants. I thought, whatever you want, honey. Whatever you want, I am. Oh, gosh. You know, I have to acknowledge, I know you've opened for Anita Baker, Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin, and the Pointer Sisters, I believe.
Yes.
Bonnie? One of the Pointer Sisters.
Bonnie passed this week, and I actually posted the jewelry box that they gave me for working with them. I did several shows opening for them in Atlantic City. And that was very exciting for me because as a kid, I had seen them at Prospect Park. They used to do concerts in the ice skating rink in the summer. And the Pointer Sisters was one of the first concerts that I went to in Prospect Park. And then to know that I went from standing right in front of them, you know, listening to their music and grooving to opening their show, you know, in Atlantic City, it was just such a thrill for me.
Isn't that wild? Like you go from watching them growing up, and I would watch Still in Mirror with my father on Ed Sullivan. And then when I got to do a tribute, a roast to them, it was like, this is so bizarre, but yet you're so appreciative. It's not like, I don't know. It's just
they're royalty in our industry, you know.
Mm-hmm. I do know. I want people to know I'm talking with Rhonda Hansome. Her website is rhondahansome.com. Of course, you can support her at PayPal. Commercial break. Please stand by. It's ridiculous. PayPal.me for Rhonda Hansome at R Hansome. Her website, again, all that information there is Rhonda Hansome. No D. No D. Leave out the D. That's separate from Hansome. And if you want to support the show, you guys, I keep them coming for you Monday through Fridays. you can simply, very easily just donate to paypal.me /Mo Langan or Venmo @Mo Langan if you're so inclined. We also have the store. I have my store, all these Don't Make Me Hate You products, items, because you don't want to hate people. They make you hate them. You are a victim. We have the masks. We have onesies. Come on, coasters. Have all of that. All that's going on. And here's the shirts. Don't Make Me Hate You. All right, so that's our little commercial break. And hey, you guys, those of you, I want you to know, like you, of course, I can see you right here, all of you on my phone. I love to see you here in the program, StreamYard. I can see you, anybody who's, you have to give StreamYard permission. Well, how do I do that, Maureen? Oh, glad you asked. You go to, let me get the PayPal. You just go to StreamYard.com /Facebook. That's it. Just type that in, click the blue button, and then I'll get to see your beautiful profile picture and comments here. Like I can see, hi, Nancy Lombardo, we love you.
I love Nancy. Nancy saved my life. I was having a dehydration episode that I during the height of New York City coronavirus, and I thought I was dying. And she goes, "Drink some apple juice. Drink some apple juice," and she saved my life.
Nancy is a performer, so talented. For Nancy Lombardo, you guys, and she is one of the most generous, you know, and then she'll slough it off. Okay. But she is one of the most kind, lovely people and talented. All right. That's enough with you, Nancy. We're done with you, building you up, buttercup baby. So Rhonda, how many years have you been performing now? Many years.
Well, a long time. I started in 1980, and then I had a short decade absence, and I came back. And you know, so it's been a very long time. It's got to be like, I don't know, 25 years or something like that. It's been a long time. And the interesting thing is, when I came back, I could not believe that places where I used to headline were asking me to audition.
Yeah. Of course, I know. I know. I get it. Can you send a clip? And you're like, okay. And you can't.
And then they still didn't book me.
Are you kidding me? That was the whole thing. It's like people don't get, like, there's always new bookers. You can't just go back to the clubs you used to work. There's one booker. The bookers are either on their way to or from rehab. So then you get a new one while the other one's in rehab, and they don't know you. And again,
well, that's the thing. When I came back, there were very young people, beautiful young people with hope in their eyes.
Yes,
who were gatekeepers, and they had no idea who I was. And you know, everyone's always going, "Are you here to see the show?" And I'm going, "No, I'm a comic." But a lot.
And we do subjugate our egos often. You have to, because you get stepped on so often, and then go away. But then there comes a point you're like, okay, man, I've done this 8 million times with you guys here already. Enough. One thing you said to me, I want to go into a serious note here for a bit. When I was on with John Fugelsang with you on Sirius XM, if you guys don't know John Fugelsang, he's one of the most, I don't know somebody who knows so much about so many things and is so grounded and sincere. And his father was a brother, his mother was a nun, or a priest. They got together and left their orders, and it's just such a beautiful love story. But I was sitting next to you, and we were talking issues. This is before George Floyd, and it was around a race issue. And you said, I'm paraphrasing, we were talking about Tulsa. We were talking about Black Wall Street. And you said, stop telling Black people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, because when they do, like they did on Black Wall Street, you come and burn them down and make them start all over again. So stop with the bullshit bootstraps. And I went, oh, whoa. No. I mean, not that somebody has to knock that into me. I get it. I mean, but I was like, wow, that just stayed with me. So I think I emailed you right after. I'm like, I can't stop thinking about that. And then I researched Olivia Hooker, who was the last survivor of the Black Wall Street. And she went on, I think she became a lawyer, a teacher at Columbia. So you turned me on to more people. I mean, I knew of Black Wall Street, but just in that moment, your powerful reaction to it So I wanted to just talk about that.
Well, I'm glad that that made an impact. I wasn't doing it to make an impact. I was just expressing how I feel. The odd thing is, and I was just saying this last night with John on John's show, is the fact that Black History is just a month makes me crazy, because Black history is American history. And a lot of Americans, a lot of mainstream Americans don't know that white mobs rioted in Tulsa, that they slaughtered people here in New York City, slaughtered Black people here in New York City. And that's white history. It's American history. And to have Black history just a separate month, it segregates it segregates us, and white people are missing out on a large portion of their history, and a large portion of their history that has been about oppression, about domination, about conquering, about appropriation, which, if you're going to live that way, you should actually know about.
Well, I agree with you on that. And it's the same thing like Women's History Month. Like, we get a month. Like, if you read American history, go out. So there was a lady who sewed a flag, and we got somebody with a pitcher of water who brought water to soldiers. Is there anything else we did? Is there anything else we brought forth? I tell you, I bought a book a while ago, and I read it, and I started to reread it during this time. And I have it here. It's forever free. And I want people to know about this book if you don't. Emancipation and Reconstruction by Eric Foner. Now, the reason I bring this up, well, because it's important to know, but I happened to be going out for my hike the other day and just put on Terry Gross's podcast, and she had him on a replay from 2006. I'm like, whoa. Now, this man who wrote this is, he is a scholar. He works at Columbia University. One of the things that really stood out to me that I just, again, you talk about, you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and then they get burned down. I think about during Reconstruction, how there were Black men in the Senate, the numbers of Black men in Congress, just how frightened people got about that. And then again, cut the bootstraps off. So you have to start again. And I thought, what a hopeful time. There were Blacks from the North who went down South because they thought they would have more political opportunity. There's so much history, that there's so much to know. And the more you know, the more you want to know, the more you know. So even if you don't want to read a book, folks, just go to Terry Gross's podcast, and it's Eric Foner, F-O-N-E-R, just forever free, Emancipation and Reconstruction. A little light reading, but honestly, I don't know.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you that you're doing that. But I also love the fact that you're doing a show, that you've got merchandise, that you are just, working the quarantine, I think that is just so fantastic.
Well, you do it for your own head too, don't you? I mean, I do love doing this. I love learning more about you. I love knowing more about people. And I'm going to get into a lighter topic. One of the things I heard this gentleman, Foner, say, and he said, this is a gross overgeneralization. But he said, think about this. And again, I'm putting it in my words. When you ask people, what is the definition of freedom? Oftentimes, white people will say it's something they want to keep. I don't want to lose my religious freedom, which I don't know what everybody in America thinks of losing the religious freedom. I grew up Catholic. I don't feel like I can't go to St. Peter's and Parsippany if I want to go. I don't feel like I can't walk. I don't understand. I don't know what this loss. I mean, I can't put a Christmas tree next to a menorah maybe in City Hall. Well, deal. Like, we're okay. You can be the best atheist, the best Jew. I don't care. You can't make a cake. All right, deal with that. But I don't like you. You should be able to make cakes for gay people if you're a public business. Sorry, you should have to. But anyway, that's another story. But white people don't want to lose their freedom, he said, and Black people want their freedom. And this is one of the things that I think a lot of mainstream people don't understand. Our experience of freedom is totally different. It's totally different. And I've said so many times during these past couple of weeks, you didn't appreciate Colin Kaepernick's non-violent protest against police brutality. It was quiet. It was non-violent.
and people distorted it, erroneously conflating it with disrespecting the flag and our troops. I don't know where these people got that, but because they ran with the erroneous narrative, Colin Kaepernick never achieved what he wanted to about police brutality. So now, you know, we have a rebellion. We have an all-out rebellion. Yeah. And what I love is that a lot of the people who were looting and breaking windows were the white people. I love that part.
Well, I wasn't one of them. I thought that, well, what I hated about that is it undermined a righteous cause. That's what troubled me so much.
Well, you know, see, now some people feel like it undermined a righteous cause, and some people feel like, oh, so you didn't like the nonviolent protest? How do you like it now? You know, I think I got your attention now. I think I got the corporation's attention now. I think I've got the mainstream attention now. And it is a totally different perspective looking at the rebellion. I mean, when people are that frustrated, and you have to understand that it was a month where something was happening every week. And then we had Central Park Karen.
Central Park Karen.
Central Park Karen is going to call the police on an administrator from the Audubon Society. I mean, it doesn't get more absurd than that.
There's a lot of parallels to that with like Emmett Till. You know, the white shop wife calls the police and she embellishes what happened. And that poor 14-year-old boy, the horrific things that happened to him that basically is a symbol of that time in our lives is awful.
But she finally admitted that she lied. And this is the thing. She did not realize that she caused a major shift in America.
Yeah.
The mother insisted on having an open casket, so that people could see how her child was brutalized.
A baby boy, 14. But let me ask you this, though, seriously here. You were raised in the Catholic school. I couldn't steal a piece of bubble gum. I double collected off of Mrs. Fetty, the old lady, because I had the paper route. I would hang out with her, but my friend was like, "Go, let's get another quarter. Go recollect." That was against everything with which I was raised. To this day, it bothers me. And when I passed the Lutheran church, I was going, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Fetty." I always to this day, it bothers me that I did that. But I think there's a vast difference. I get the attention. Hey, hello, you hear me now? So when I look at a picture of Kaepernick, I'm like, "How you like me now?" You know that saying, "How you like me now?" I also think, though, there were looters. They were just people going in there to steal shit. Let's face it. They don't give a crap about the name where they go. So I think it tarnishes because some people, because I hear them, you see it on Facebook, that like, well, that's what those people are like, the people who want. So it gets.
But you're right. And those were white people. Those were undercover people. Those were people who did not live in the neighborhood. I saw a white kid with a skateboard. Breaking a window, and I'm going, okay, knock yourself out, baby.
No, I saw that too. I saw a couple skateboard people. I go, what's with this angry white kids with a skateboard? But there's no denying in video there were black people too who were doing it, and I'm not
denying that. But what I'm saying is that we all know, even before COINTELPRO, but that infiltrating and agitating is a regular way of the government dealing with race.
And I would, sometimes I don't know what's wrong with me. I so trust that people are going to be decent and normal. And then, but you see it all around you and you're like, no, it's not. Why isn't it like that? What do you mean? And I think people are going to infiltrate, and then you read and you go, wow, that's true. Wow, they do. My sister
there were black women asking white women not to spray paint BLM for Black Lives Matter on a Starbucks wall. And because that was not what we were doing. We were not spray painting those letters on a Starbucks. We had other things to do, even if it was looting.
Well, you know what, too? But when I saw that woman, it kind of broke my heart. The video you're talking about, the Black woman saying to the white woman, "Stop spray painting. That you're not representing us," and you could just feel the pain in her. But it sounds to me, and this is the journalist side of me, Rhonda. It sounds to me though you see value in the looting, or no, or is it like what?
Do you see value in racism? It's a reaction. It's a reaction, and if it causes change, I mean, I think today in the New York City legislature they are voting to have more supervision over the police, to stop the chokehold, and to really do some of the things that Obama had put into consent decrees a long time ago, and Jeff Sessions rolled all of those back in many cities. He just said, no, we're not even going to bother with the police becoming part of the community and keeping track of how people are abused and brutalized. And so it's not so much that I see value in the looting and the rebellion, but I see value in people recognizing frustration that has to be expressed in the extreme, because nobody is listening when we go, please don't kill us.
Please don't kill us. Listen, the way you just said, please don't kill us. Nobody. Please don't kill us. Always I say, if we are allowed to, please don't. That has to go back. You know, I think that you make a valid point. It's an expression of the rage, the anger, and then you go, everything's breaking. What do we got to do? I think about, you know, coming from an Irish background. My mother's Irish, all my grandparents. You know, the way Ireland got most of its freedom was when the IRA started blowing up things, and nobody knew who the enemy was and who.
There you go. There you go. Now you can't say there's value in bombing, but that got people's attention.
Yeah, I'm hearing. I wanted to explore that. It's interesting. Though I also think there's just some shitty people who wanted to go in and get some designer sneakers and shoes that just had no interest in any of it. My sister just posted. She's a teacher. I saw a white guy steal a whole mannequin.
Yeah, I saw that too. He's walking at the mannequin under his arm.
There was an African-American guy in New York with the camera documenting all this, and he had such a fun sense of humor, but he goes, damn, what did you get? You parked your car right here and you're going inside? What did you show me? What you? Oh man, you're serious? What the heck are you doing? Like, but he was doing it like, I have to document this, and he had such a personality that you're like, ay. Okay, so somebody said to me yesterday, because with this people like defunding, reallocating, Maureen, what it really means, defunding means not allocating. I'm like, okay, listen, I studied English. Listen, defunding, taking away, not allocating. Like, what are we talking about? And
it's a terrible terminology, Maureen. I can't argue with you on that. I think it's fucked up, if I can say that on Facebook. I can't believe that they decided to use that term, even though what they mean by it is absolutely valid and necessary.
Yeah, so that's what exactly. So I started to do a lot more research on it, ask a lot more people, everybody got opinions, did my own research. So it is a terrible word to be using, because I said, well, my first question, this is what precipitated an entire conversation before I had time to delve into it. I said, okay, just want to know, if we defund the police, I just want to know who's patrolling the subway at 1 in the morning. That's all I want to know. I just want to know what's happening. That's it. I just want to know what the plan is. And then,
you know, what's interesting to me is that I saw someone on Twitter who said, oh, you're upset about defunding the police? We've been defunding education for decades, but the schools aren't closed.
I just wanted to know what it looked like. What was the plan? Well, listen, I've got two siblings, the one who just posted about the mannequin, who are teachers, and one who's a school therapist. So I see teachers are so valid and so important, and the way we just chip away and to take from their pensions, and they get too much and they get the summers off. They are entrusted with the care of so many young developing minds. And I've always been one that also said, having two cousins who are cops, whose goal has always been to get home to their families, Paterson, New Jersey. You know, and I see my cousin worried about her husband going out there doing his job now because of the retaliation in general to a system, not to, So I also have always said, cops, there should be psychologist cops. They should have they should have
absolutely right, Maureen, and you are so on the point. And part of what the defunding is about, and just a side note, in general, crime statistics have been going down in America in general, and yet the police departments across the board have been getting more and more money and more militarized. And part of what we need is for police to be peacemakers, to be police peace officers, because the way they walk into situations with Black people frequently is that they escalate the tensions in the situation. And if we use some of that money that has been going to police, even though crime statistics are going down, allocated for psychologists and for services in the community that would keep people from maybe doing some illegal activity, making jobs, making jobs for people instead of giving millions in military equipment to people who are supposed to be peace officers protecting and serving, which a lot of minorities, a lot of Black people never have the sense that this person here is to serve me, protect and serve.
Yeah, it's interesting because a woman commented on me. I just want to know, I'm very open. I just want to understand what's happening. I question, I think, I ask. And if you don't ask, you'll not know. And I love dialogue. I love sometimes being the devil's advocate.
It's very important.
And, there's two things going on with it. So she said to me, Maureen, it's funny, you ask about what's happening at 1 a.m. because that's your white privilege that you want to be protected at 1 a.m. I won't feel safe at 1 a.m. So I wrote back to her, total respect. I said, I hear you. I am hearing you. I also don't think two of us being unsafe is going to help. So let's find a system where we can walk side by side in safety. So that's the goal, isn't it?
I think it would be nice. That would be ideal. That would be ideal for us to walk side by side. But if we can't walk side by side, at least let us not have one of us being under constant persecution.
Well, I hear you. And that's why, I just want to find a solution where people feel safe together. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
It's so important, Maureen. Life is so short. And if we cannot feel safe with each other, what is the value in it? What are we protecting this is something that I feel is American in nature. This rugged individualism, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which is a total fallacy because the whole system is set up to discriminate against certain people. But the whole myth of the rugged individualism diminishes the idea of community and being responsible and safe with another person. And that's a very hard thing to live with when you want to walk side by side with somebody, but the other person has this idea of everything for myself. One person, it's all.
Yeah. I see. That's a good point. I should have shared my microphone at that audition. Is that what we're getting back to? Normally I would. No, I just think too, there's so much to learn from each other when you hang out with each other and know different ethnic backgrounds and how people were raised and what they're, we were talking about George Floyd's memorial service. I remember something as simple as just performing in the evening at a Black church, and they had the musicians there, and then they're like praising you after your bits. And I'm like, this is magic, where I go now. I love to pop into Riverside Church on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and such a mix of people and music and children's choirs, and you feel like you're in Vienna with the musical instrument. Anyway, I love all that. I don't know. I think for me, the focus has to be right now, vote, 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 vote. I reached out to the League of Women Voters in Washington, D.C., and I said, how can we set tables up at all these protests? So you get these people registered to vote. They want action? Good. Have your action. March to, march wherever you want to march. Can you sign this first? Let's get this going. So I'm waiting to see what we can do. Because
there's so many reasons to be proud of you. My gosh. I'm so impressed.
Oh, well, don't be impressed. I fall way short. I don't know what to do, and it pains me because you see the value in people. I mean, it gets me emotional because I don't know how we hurt each other like that. And now with what's going on in our country and losing friends because of Trump or wanting to question why, I questioned you. I ask questions. I ask, why does the looters, are you okay with it? Well, this is what it represents. And why? Not just to go, oh, okay, because I'm afraid to ask. I want to ask. And then I got a thought that helped me understand why that's powerful. And though that kid with the skateboard, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the guys with skateboards. I'm like, well, who are they going to hit? There was 2 of them at different times.
But I got to ask you a question, Maureen. How did you feel when you saw that cop push down that 75-year-old white guy?
Well, I felt I still can't get George out of my head. I cannot see the whole video. I start to cry and I have to cringe, and I then look through my fingers and I look. So I'm still like horrified by that. The guy lived. The thing about the white guy that got thrown to the ground, I was looking more. I want to bring on a psychologist who can help me understand group mind think, because that's what happened. That's what happened with George Floyd. The cop that they subjugated their power to one person.
But he was a training officer.
Yeah.
He was training them.
Yeah. Right. So they have,
of course, they're going to, subsume their power. Some of them had only been on the job for 4 days.
Can you imagine this being your 4th day and now you got to go to jail for life because you subjugated?
Sucks to be you.
What?
Sucks to be you if you got to go to jail.
Can you imagine?
For 4 days. Yeah.
Can you, 3 days, 4 days, you're on the job. You're like, I'm listening to this circus clown as he kills somebody. And I broached the subject a little bit like, hey, maybe could I, you maybe stop, maybe. And now your fucking life is over. But it's the same thing when you saw the white older man who now Trump is saying is maybe associated with Antifa or he's Antifa. He's a skateboard murderer. He's going to start going around with it, but no. So what I saw was that one guy again who's like back off to the other ones. Like I got like, and why?
He was a superior. He was a superior officer.
But we do what's wrong. We do the wrong thing to step in line. And I see this group, and now even now, Kaepernick took a knee. That man was ripped. He was so brave to do what he did. We're America. We're built on protest. We're built on rebellion. We're built on revolution. If we didn't stick up and fight a revolutionary war, we would not be America. So the fact that people are like, oh, you're disrespecting the flag. The man took a knee. I love America for that. I love our service people. My brother is a Marine. Mom served in the Navy. I love that I can take a knee because that flag allows that. You may not like that I took it. Isn't that great? That you can hate me for it, but I live in a country where I can do it. That's what I love. I'm not here for you to be offended or not offended. I'm here to live an authentic, honest life and stand for something. Kaepernick is going to go down in history as one of the bravest men, because even now the head of the NFL, well, we were wrong on that. Why were you wrong on it? Because the numbers now suggest you're okay. So there's safety in numbers, groupthink. And I'm a member of that groupthink at times. It's very hard not to be a member of groupthink. I'm
fascinated by that as well, because when I went to Brooklyn College, my major was sociology until I switched to performing arts. But for years I studied sociology, and I'm still fascinated by group dynamics, how we interact with each other, not just on an individual basis, but in the collective.
Yeah, I want to bring. I invited my friend on Monday. I call him my priest on speed dial. I just knew him from my days at Bloomberg. I'd interview him. He's a radical thinker, and he's so cool. And when all these people were like, I can't go to church, He's like, it's in you. You know, the church is in you. Walk the church. Though all these protesters now, I'm social distancing. My dad had a heart attack. I want to be back in New Jersey to be with him. I don't want to bring anything with me. I want, right now, this first wave of getting back into society, I see it as the deep end of the pool. And I'm like, okay, you jump in first and let me know what's in there. Because I see all these protesters. I worry about them. I'm proud of people marching. I'm doing what I can in my corner of the world. But that friggin' thing is still out there, this crazy virus thing. So
I'm worried about all those kids on spring break. I mean, they were like naked and not afraid to be right on top of each other, you know. And one of the reasons I have been very sad that I have not been able to participate in the demonstrations, because I have underlying conditions, and I'm in a demographic where I cannot risk being in that situation.
Yeah, oh, I hear you. Before I let you go, my guest, Rhonda Hansome, director, performer, writer, and her website's rhondahansome.com, and you can support her at paypal.me/rhansome. We're all out here working like a bunch of dogs trying to create and give you guys something. So the support's always appreciated. And you can, if you're so inclined, can support Maureen Langan. Where? All right, I'll tell you. Let me look at my high-tech stuff. PayPal.me/Mo Langan, Venmo @Mo Langan. I really appreciate it. And I pay it forward. I'm always sending money to this one and that. You know, we're all helping each other. And
it's very important, Maureen. It's so important.
I know. You get a few pennies in, you put it out, you help this one, that one. In the Mo Langan store, molangan.com store. What's there, Maureen? All right, here we go. We have safety masks. Don't make me hate you. How funny is that? Come on. Are you kidding me? Tons of, I know, right? Don't make me hate you t-shirts, a ton of them. And a lot of just different items, from coasters to onesies to clocks, shower curtains. I have it all because I do it for you, for the glory of love. And if you want to sponsor the show, what you can do right here is get in touch with me. I'll put your logo, email me at Mo Langan. And I'm going to be, shout out to Jimmy Tingle, who we love, the comedian.
I love Jimmy. We did a John Fugelsang show on off-Broadway.
Politically. So John Fugelsang did a comedy show about speaking liberally,
yeah, off-Broadway. And it was just fantastic. Jimmy and I go back to the original Showcase clubs, and he's a wonderful comic and a good political writer.
Oh, he's brilliant. So he is sponsored. They're hosting a big event for Barry Crimmins' widow. Barry Crimmins is, well, we'll talk more about it during the week, but you guys, I'm going to be giving him this spot later in the week. So let me I have to hide these things. I'm learning all the technology. Are you impressed at all?
You just keep impressing me. You just do.
You guys, I want you to get this book, Forever Free, Emancipation and Reconstruction by Eric Foner. He's currently a professor at Columbia. Oh, no, I don't know if is he? I don't know if he's even alive. That was way back in the day. I don't even know if the guy's alive. All I know is he wrote a really great book. He could be dead. I don't even know if he's dead. This book came out in don't listen to me. In 2000.
I say to you that you could actually read a book. I open a book now, and if it's more than 120 characters, I can't read anything.
I get very distracted now because I'm always on the .com. Before I let you go, you've done directing too, yeah?
Oh, I love directing. I just directed my first short film, Couples Therapy. I've directed a lot of one-person shows, especially, and I love that, not only working with actors, but stand-up comics who are moving into the one-person show situation. I directed the singer Melba Moore's one-person show, Sweet Songs of Soul, and I love it. I love working with original material and discussing things out with the writers. I have a lot of fun, and especially because I get to tell people what to do.
And your website is rhondahansome.com. And you know what? I feel like I'm so happy I got to know you better today.
Oh, well, I didn't even tell you that I'm also doing cartoons. I'm doing I'm doing political cartoons with the art of Scott Williams. This one is Back to Work America, where you see at the meat plant, they're working at the meat plant, and what we get at the end are dead workers.
Well, that's a fun cartoon. That sounds lighthearted.
Yes. So we're doing great guns with the lighthearted stuff. I'm so he's a very gifted illustrator, and we are collaborating, and I love that. I love working with people. I love collaboration, and I got to tell you, Maureen, I love this interchange with you. It's just been so chill. It's been so chill. I love that.
Well, I adore you and I respect you greatly. And thank you for having an open and a fun conversation. I leave knowing more and having more insight. And that makes me feel great to know you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And tomorrow, you guys, let me tell you what's happening in the week. Tomorrow, I have Jane Condon and Helene Angley, two very established, award-winning comics. And what I'm excited about is these are women who had children, were out in the work life, came back in and out of the comedy. How do you make that work when you're trying to work full-time or you have children full-time? So I'm interested to see, and I think people who are always maybe thinking, I want to dabble in comedy, or I want to try it, but I'm at a certain age, or I want them to feel inspired and hear those backstories. We always do a little history with Professor Comic Peter Bales, PhD in history.
Oh, all of these people I love and go back so far with. Oh my God.
And then Friday, Igor Mirsin coming to you live from St. Petersburg, not Florida, Russia. He grew up in the Soviet Union. I met him touring over in South Africa. Now, that's a story for another day. What a great comedy. Whoa, was that mind coming together after post-apartheid, the new generation. Wow, effervescence. It reminded me of Brooklyn down, just magic. Anyway, so I should refer you to that comedy festival, Rhonda. Yes, I will. All right, so he will be with me Friday. You guys are the best. Thank you for always being so supportive. And Rhonda, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you so much. I love you and love your audience.
They're great.